All right, everybody, what's up? And welcome back to another episode of Birds on the Farm. We've got a ton of exciting stuff to talk about today, including the draft lottery, which occurred since our last episode. So we'll be talking about the Cardinals' positioning for the 2025 draft. We'll be talking a little bit as well about some picks from this year's draft, 2024. Got some early returns already to look out for. As always, Kareem is interested in picking or guessing who the Cardinals will select in this year's draft. If you know him, you know he's 3 for 3. So let's see if he can make it 4 for 4. Maybe it's not an official prediction today. We'll see. And then the Rule 5 draft just happened. So we'll be talking a little bit about that, breaking down who the Cardinals have acquired and who they've lost. They did lose a name most of you will recognize, I'm sure, to the major league portion. So that's going to be exciting. So again, we've got a ton of cool stuff. Let's just get right into it. Kareem, what do you have for us today?
Yeah, Sandy. Really excited for this episode. Just getting to talk about the MLB draft. I think the Cardinals, getting the 5th overall pick in the lottery, that wasn't something that I had on my mind. I thought that we would maybe sneak into the top 10 at best, but to be able to push into the top 5, I'm really excited already. I just can't wait for draft day to come. I think the Cardinals are going to get another, exceptional talent. Obviously, last year adding JJ Weatherholt to the system, that was a big boost. Really excited to watch him next year. Just a lot of fun going on. I think the Cardinals farm system could, really improve in the next, year and a half or so.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, you mentioned JJ. The infusion of talent the Cardinals got from this last draft class is amazing. He's the top prospect in the system. There's probably no question about that, although there are some intriguing guys there. But what does this draft, I guess, have the potential to do for this system? Like picking in the top 5, I don't know if people understand how big a deal that is, especially in this day and age where it feels like there are now can't miss prospects at the top of draft classes. What does it mean to pick in the top 5?
I think it means a lot because not only are you getting that 5th overall pick, you're also getting the bonus pool money, and I think you can manipulate the draft in a lot of ways, and especially with the Cardinals now also having a competitive balance round B pick, which takes place after the second round. I think there's a chance to maybe manipulate some of this pool money, go under slot on a guy that you really like, top 5, and maybe with the potential with your, either second round pick, comp round B pick to, get a high upside prepster that fell, due to money. But you get the chance of maybe getting 2 first round talents in that case. So yeah, just really excited to see, who the Cardinals end up, taking next year. And yeah, the early returns for the 2024 class are very encouraging too.
Yeah. So in recent years, it seems like the Cardinals have been more interested in selecting college players. I feel like they like the polish on first round guys. Obviously, Walker was drafted out of high school. But it seems like in the first round, they like to target college players. Do you expect that trend to continue this year?
I think so, but we have so much time until the draft that, a lot of things can change. Maybe a player the Cardinals don't think, ends up top 5. Maybe, an Ethan Holliday is there for them.
Crazy.
Yeah, like we just don't know. It's too early to call at this point. But they've definitely leaned on a lot of, college guys, in the first round in the past few years. So I think it's definitely, likely that they could take a college guy, but we're so far out. We don't know yet who they're going to take. Or, I was talking about maybe they go under slot. We don't know if that's a possibility.
Yeah.
There's at this point, like we're just speculating and we don't have a lot of, information to go off of. A lot of these prospects haven't, necessarily taken the steps that, they might take, this next year that, launch them into, top 5 consideration. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see on that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's true. We are so far away, but is there anybody, you don't have to make an official prediction right now, but is there anybody that sticks out to you where you say, hey, watch this guy. He might be on the Cardinals' radar come draft time?
The one guy, I mean, I sound like a broken record. I keep talking about this guy, but I got to go with Jamie Arnold, left-hand pitcher from Florida State. In terms of fit, I think Arnold makes the most sense for the Cardinals. Out of all the top prospects in this year's draft class, if the draft were to take place tomorrow, I think I would pencil him in as my official prediction. But obviously, there's a lot of time to go. But I think Arnold arguably has the best fastball in this year's class. I think it's similar
Wow.
to, Cardinals farmhand Cooper Jerpy's fastball, but he sits 94 on that pitch, whereas, Cooper Jerpy's more so like 91, 92. His slider, elite pitch, with the horizontal approach angle he's able to create, which adds to the expected sweep on that pitch.
Mm.
I still do think he needs to develop a third pitch. He threw a changeup, a handful of times this past year, but didn't really show great feel for the offering. The shape wasn't great, but he is working on a splitter this offseason. And the movement specs on that pitch, Driveline posted, a video of him just working on that offering. And some of the movement specs on that pitch are, ridiculous, like close to a right-handed, curveball-esque movement. So, but if he's able to show decent enough command for that pitch, if he ends up using it in game, I think that adds to his profile. But right now, you've got two legit pitches. I think the fastball might be the best fastball in the class in terms of just pure specs, the movement from that slot, and obviously him getting that velocity too. So I think Arnold definitely feels like someone that the Cardinal staff would like.
Oh, yeah.
Someone that's athletic, low slot, quality fastball, and the results are there. We know the Cardinals want to have results out of these pitchers they're drafting, and Arnold does. So I think Arnold is definitely the top fit right now, I think, and I could see him falling to 5, but hey, he might also go 1. So uh,
Yeah.
we don't know just yet. But I think he makes a lot of sense. And, if he was available for the Cardinals, that is someone the scouting staff will definitely love to pick.
So when you hear people talk about recent draft classes for the Cardinals, right? You may hear some people say, "Hey, we've seen the Cardinals take college pitchers before. It's boring. They go after the Zach Thompsons or Michael McGreeves of the world." What makes Arnold a different like type of prospect than them?
I think the stuff is exceptionally better than some of the
Yeah.
pitchers recently the Cardinals have taken in the draft outside of a guy like Cooper Jerpy or, Tink Hence, maybe, although he was a prep arm. Um,
Yeah.
I think the fastball, like I said, it's one of the quality fastballs in the whole class. Him being able to sit 94 from that slot, the vertical approach angle when he gets it in the top third is really good. The slider, another plus pitch. So it's really just him having that high caliber stuff, but he's also able to command the ball. He's also, had the results to go along with it. So we're looking at a complete package. And some of the pitchers the Cardinals have taken, it seems like they go after guys that have college success, guys that command the zone, might not have the best stuff, but I think Arnold has it all, and that's what makes him such a special prospect.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, you're totally right. When you think about a McGreevy or a Zach Thompson, these are guys that, like you say, have the track record and they have the command. But the big question mark is whether their stuff will perform at the MLB level. And some of the other arms, like a Tink Hence, yeah, he's got the stuff, but he's never proven that he's got the durability. We have no idea when they drafted him how much he could hold up, and that's obviously still a question for a guy like Tink Hence. So you're right. That's totally what separates pitchers taken in the top 5 from pitchers taken in the 15 to 20 range. They're just not even the same type of player. So very exciting to hear that he could be on the Cardinals' radar. Can you give us a bat to maybe look out for? I know it's so early, but just give us something.
I got to go with Ethan Holliday.
Wow.
Obviously, the Cardinals connection with his dad being a legend for us for so many years, but Holliday is a guy I've heard mixed reports on. Some believe he's firmly the top prospect in the class,
Yeah.
and others don't even see him as a top 10 player just yet. I think I fall somewhere in between. I think he has a different kind of profile than his brother Jackson. There are some concerns about his ability to make contact, but the raw power with Ethan is there, and I think it exceeds Jackson when they were both the same age. there are some questions about his ability to stick up the middle. Whereas I think Jackson Holliday, I think there's a higher shot of him, playing shortstop, or if not, being a second baseman down the road. There are more questions about Holliday playing shortstop, long term. A lot of people believe he's going to move over to third base. But I do think that this is someone that is going to get a chance to stick at shortstop from the day he gets drafted. Whether he sticks there long term or not, we don't know just yet. But I think there's enough in that profile for him to play shortstop, at least at the start of his pro career. And when you have the kind of power potential that Holliday has, he could play shortstop. The contact is somewhat of a hit or miss. I think that's something that we're going to be watching this year for him. The contact needs to be a little bit better. I think some of the evaluators that aren't super high on him worry about that a little bit. But I do think Ethan is someone that's got a ton of talent. There's no denying that. And I do think the connection with the Cardinals will come to play if he's available. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if the Cardinals picked him.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds super exciting. I've heard a lot of people say he's the 1-1, but obviously stuff can change too. We have so much time before the draft. He and everybody else, they're going to get a lot more tape. We're going to get a lot more chances to look at them as players. Now, sometimes when you hear people talk about the draft, they say, oh, you need to draft a specific position, right? So someone looking at the Cardinals system or just looking at the team may say, oh, the Cardinals need outfielders. They don't need any more infielders. They've got all these guys. How would you respond to that and saying, no, Ethan Holliday, if he's available, is the pick for the Cardinals? If you've got people saying, oh, they don't need a third baseman, or they already have J.J. Weatherholt and Thomas Sajazi and all these other guys.
Yeah, I don't think you worry about the position just yet. We don't even know if Ethan's going to stick at shortstop. But one thing's for sure, having a guy that can play shortstop right now, has that kind of athleticism. I don't think you worry about him playing several, different positions, even if he has to go in the outfield. Obviously, it's like really early in his development, and we don't know just yet where he's going to settle in terms of position. But, even if this was a college guy that was, stuck at a, let's just go into last year, like a JJ Weatherholt, for example. Maybe that's not the best comp because Weatherholt can play all over the place. But let's say there's a prospect that just plays third base, and we haven't seen him play anywhere else, and he has the best offensive profile in the entire draft class, right? I don't think you necessarily worry about him being a third baseman or, looking at the Cardinals' current situation with all, the talent that they have at those positions, whether it be third or second. I think you just take the guy that you have most confidence in long-term, someone that's highest on your board, someone that you think can be, really talented player, and everything else shakes itself out. Whether that player even sticks in your organization long term or he's an asset to be used on a trade, like there's just so much that can happen. I don't think you worry about that. Just take the best player, and whatever that happens from then on, it could really depend. So I don't think you worry about that, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm totally with you there. Always take the best player available when you're talking about the MLB draft. You're so right. There are so many things that could change. And I guess the way I think about it is, would you rather have too many catchers or like too many right fielders? Or would you rather have too many athletic dudes that can play shortstop? Like, I would totally rather have that. If you think about the way the Cincinnati Reds built their farm system, people say, oh, you don't need Matt McClain and Ellie De La Cruz. Well, I'd love to have both of them in my lineup. You can find homes for these guys. And the Reds have been able to do that with them and Steer and a number of other talented players that are capable of playing the left side of the infield. I'd totally rather have that because it's much easier for a guy to slide from shortstop to left field than it is to go in the opposite direction. A lot of guys playing shortstop are the most athletic players on their team, and teams should always prioritize athleticism. That can just go so far for you. Now, we've got a ton of exciting stuff coming up for the rest of the show. We're going to be getting back to the 2024 draft class, talk about a bit of that, and then jumping ahead to talk about the Rule 5 draft. But real quick, a couple words from our sponsors. We are so proud to be partnering with Underdog Sports, our favorite place to play fantasy games. You got to check out their Pick'em feature. It's super fun and it's really easy to play. You just pick 2 to 8 stats of your favorite player and you choose higher or lower. So basically, they'll give you a number and you say whether the player is going to go above that number or below that number. You can multiply your money by 20 by going 5 for 5. Sound like fun? Sign up with promo code CARDS to claim your first free pick and first time deposit offer, matching up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We can't wait to see your entries. Please share them with us. We have a ton of fun using this feature. It's awesome. And they have another feature on here called the Flex feature, which you've got to check out. The way that works is you can flex your pick for a slightly lower payout, but it allows you to lose one of your legs. So if there's something you're not super confident on, you can flex it and it still allows you to play. And then obviously if it hits, very, very exciting. Also, a quick word from 314. So 314 Sports Cards is located at 9640 Olive Boulevard in Olivet, Missouri. They're open 10 to 5 Monday through Friday and 9 to 4 on Saturday. They buy, sell, and trade all sorts of trading cards, sports cards, Pokemon cards, you name it, they've got it. They have the newest selection of packs, boxes, and single cards of local players and stars from around the league. So whether you're out there looking for a Kyle Leahy card like I am, an Irving Lopez card like Andrew is over at Deal in the Cards, or that new Paul Skeens card, who knows, right? Paul Skeens rookie auto could be in a pack at 314. So make sure to go check them out. Go in there, tell them we sent you in. They're amazing. They do some great business. One of my favorite places to be. Obviously, we got to record our charity live stream over at Deal in the Cards there recently. They're awesome. Go check them out. Give them some business. I know Christmas just ended, but hey, there's birthdays and stuff all year. Great place to go gift shopping. All right. Thank you so much, 314 and Underdog. Back to the show here. Let's talk a little bit about the 2024 draft class for the Cardinals. I know we already mentioned J.J. Weatherholt and some of these other guys, but we've got some tape on some of these guys now. So, Kareem, is there anything exciting that sticks out to you about guys from the recent class?
Yeah, I think the early returns on the class are really encouraging. And we've only seen about half of the guys that the Cardinals drafted. A lot of the pitchers we didn't even get a chance to see. But yeah, a lot of talent. I'm excited to see how, all these guys develop next year and beyond. So, yeah, I just want to talk about a few. Ryan Campos, 4th round pick out of Arizona State. Campos is someone that, consistently makes contact. He hits the ball on the ground more than you would want, but I think he sprays the ball well enough to project at someone who can hit for a decently high average while also producing like solid walk rates. Defensively as a catcher, there are some concerns. I think he does fit as a catcher long term. We're going to talk about another guy that the Cardinals took that was a catcher out of college, but I think Campos, out of those two, like Josh Cross is the other guy that the Cardinals drafted. I think Campos is definitely going to stick as a catcher long term, whereas Cross, probably a first baseman. But yeah, really impressed by Campos. He hit 350 or better each of his 3 seasons at Arizona State. I think the feel for hitting is there for him. And although the power production isn't what you want it to be, it's a lot of ground balls, a lot of line drives, not a ton of, pulled fly balls. And, the raw exit velocity numbers aren't what you want them to be. But I think there's enough thump there for him to, be able to do enough damage while, hitting for a solid average. I think, he's already got one of the better hit tools in the organization. So definitely going to keep my eyes on Ryan Campos. This was someone that out of the draft, I was a little concerned. Some of the track record in wood bat leagues wasn't there, but I thought his pro debut at Palm Beach was impressive, and he carried on, what he was able to do at Arizona State. So really excited about Campos. But besides him, Josh Cross, 6th round pick out of Cincinnati. Cross might not have impressed in terms of, the surface level stats that you look at. But I thought the underlying data was very encouraging. He was hitting the ball hard a lot. The contact rates were solid for, the kind of profile he has. And, just overall, I think he has the kind of skill set to be a, threat offensively. I thought that on draft day, he was, or following the draft. And, I looked at, following the draft and, going into deep diving into all these profiles, I thought Josh Cross had the best power tool among all the prospects the Cardinals drafted. And I think that remains to be the case. And, I'm really excited to see what he's able to do in a larger sample. Obviously, the stats weren't there, in his time with Palm Beach, but, the underlying metrics being, as good as what they were is, what's more important to me when we're dealing with small samples. So, really excited to see Josh Cross and, what he's able to do over a full season in the Cardinals organization. So those are a couple of guys. Ian Petrutz was, unbelievable in his pro debut. He had a 172 WRC plus. This is someone that just consistently hits line drives. The power production isn't what you want necessarily. Despite the 172 WRC plus, he still had a sub 100 ISO. But I do think there's more power in the tank. He's got solid raw power, and he does have an ability to pull the ball in the air. But the thing is, like, he's got a very flat VBA. So it's a lot of low line drives to his pull side rather than, fly balls that are, going to get out. So I think there's more power in the tank for him. I think that's something he can certainly work on. But I do like the feel for hitting, and the approach at the plate is really, really exceptional too. So I think the early returns on Petrutz have been impressive, and I think he's one of the more advanced hitters in this class. And to be able to get him in the 12th round, I thought that was an absolute steal. Now, talking about a pitcher that the Cardinals selected, this is a guy that we had on the show last time, Nolan Sparks, 13th rounder. I thought the results, were great for him in his short time at Palm Beach. He sits mid 90s on his fastball. It's got good characteristics, one of the flatter vertical approach angles in the organization. His gyro sliders in the mid 80s. It's a quality offering. He throws a harder curveball around 80 miles an hour. He also had a cutter that he sparingly threw. And as he mentioned on the episode that we had with him, he's also working on a splitter this offseason. So really excited about him. He's got intriguing stuff. And, whether he ends up as a starter or a reliever, I still think he's very encouraging, or I think he's very intriguing for a 13th round pick. And, the results that he was able to have was very encouraging. So those are, some guys that the Cardinals drafted, but I want to throw around one additional name, Michael Watson. The Cardinals didn't draft him. He was an undrafted free agent out of Sam Houston State. And man, this guy just struck out the world in, his time with Palm Beach. In 13 and a third innings, he struck out 24 batters, which is good for like 47.1%. That's absurd. I mean, his fastball generates solid ride from a low slot, and FSL hitters stood absolutely no shot against it. It was just fun watching him just dial up his four seamer at the top of the zone. Like, he's another intriguing guy. He started in college. I think a bullpen role might fit him better. I thought the velocity was up a little bit from his time with Sam Houston State. So I think those are guys that I'm really interested in, that had impressive pro debuts with the Cardinals. And I think if these guys can pan out, if some of these guys can pan out, a bunch of the guys that the Cardinals, we hadn't even seen Brian Holliday, the third round pick. So there were a lot of guys that, Sam Broderson was a guy that they took day 3. That's a relief pitcher that I think has got really intriguing stuff. A fastball in the mid 90s with 20 inches of ride, slider plus pitch, gets a ton of spin. So I think looking back at this class, I thought the scouting staff did an excellent job. The early returns are good. I think some of the prospects that we'll see next year, really excited to just watch them for the first time in the organization. But a lot of talent that the Cardinals added this year in their draft, and can't wait to see what they're able to do next year.
So how does a guy like that go undrafted if he's got such a great fast? Like, how does that happen?
I don't know. I mean, the velocity isn't particularly great with him. He was sitting low, or he was sitting high 80s on his fastball.
I guess that.
So, and the secondaries are just okay. They're nothing special. So if I had to guess, that would probably be why. But I think the Cardinals got a steal. This should have been someone that got drafted, and the Cardinals adding him as an undrafted free agent and him having this level of success already, it's very encouraging.
Yeah, that's super exciting. So obviously, we'll be monitoring these guys and many more once they start playing next year. Hopefully, this time next year, we've got a full season of tape for all these guys to analyze. One more thing, though, after that draft, some new players have been introduced to the organization since then in the Rule 5 draft, which happened very recently. In that draft, the Cardinals were pretty quiet in the major league portion. They didn't acquire anybody. The way that works, for those wondering, basically, if you acquire someone, they have to be eligible for the draft, which means they're not protected. So they're not on another team's 40-man roster. So the way that works is when you've been in someone's minor league system long enough, they either have to protect you by putting you on their 40-man or they don't have to, which leaves you eligible to be selected. So the Cardinals left a few guys eligible, including Connor Thomas, who was selected by the Brewers. If you are selected, the way it works is you have to spend the entirety of the season on that other team's active roster, so their 26-man roster. So Connor Thomas, as of right now, will be an integral piece of the Brewers' bullpen. Last year, the Cardinals did this with Ryan Fernandez. That ended up working out great for them. Rule 5 draft picks are a mixed bag. Sometimes they're excellent. Sometimes they're guys that you really don't end up wanting on your roster, and there's a reason they weren't on the other team's roster. And when that happens, if you take them off your roster, you have to give the other team an opportunity to buy them back at a reduced cost. So fairly simple. The Cardinals lost Connor Thomas. They lost a lot more players in the minor league section, which Kareem will tell you all about. And then obviously we'll be breaking down Connor Thomas leaving.
Yeah, let's just get right into it. The Cardinals ended up taking 4 guys in the minor league portion of the Rule 5 draft, starting with left-hand pitcher Odiner Mosqueda. Mosqueda, I think he's a quality depth reliever arm at AAA. And, he's going to add to that, whatever you want to call it, like that Memphis shuttle. I think this is someone that could get an opportunity to pitch at the next level in 2025. I don't know if I can say that with confidence, but I do think he's, a big league caliber arm. I think he'll at least get an opportunity somewhere. So we'll see. I think Mosqueda, out of the 4 guys that they added, I think he's the most intriguing just because I think he probably presents the highest shot of, being on a major league team. I think the results were there for him this year with the Yankees AAA team. The stuff doesn't stand out with him, but he's very deceptive. It's a low 3/4 arm slot, and his pitches play up due to that. I think he's a tough left-hand hitters really struggle against him. It's a tough look to go up against, and I think Mosqueda is definitely going to be one of the bullpen arms in AAA that I'm going to be watching. But aside from him, Angel Gonzalez out of the Cubs organization, he's a guy that's got high quality stuff. He throws mid 90s up to the high 90s on his fastball. His slider's a quality shape in the mid 80s, but the command has been downright awful. His walk percentage has been above 17%, all but one stop in his minor league tenure. So there's going to be a lot of work, whether it be, cleaning up his mechanics or, figuring out how to unlock more command, because the stuff is intriguing. But if he's going to be walking more than 17% of batters, there's no way this guy's going to be given an opportunity to pitch at the next level. So I think he's an intriguing arm, definitely just a bullpen guy, but the Cardinals are going to have to work to improve that command, or we're just looking at a minor league depth guy that isn't really going to be someone that's going to be pitching on the major league team. So they also took Jawilmy Ramirez from the Mets. I think Ramirez is probably the second most exciting guy that they added. He's a guy that throws hard. He averages 94 on his fastball. And he gets a pretty good amount of ride on the pitch too. It's over 18 inches of vert. It is a higher arm slot, but I think the fastball is a quality pitch. The sliders in the mid 80s, decent shape, not great. I'd say it's fringe average at best. He's got a bunch of other pitches, sinker, changeup, curveball, but I think he's just a depth minor league arm. There's a chance that he can that there's a chance of him pitching on the major leagues down the road, but I think more than likely he's more of a depth guy that we'll see pitch at the upper levels of the minor leagues at least. But
Yeah.
I think the fastball is definitely intriguing. Him being able to average 94 in that pitch with over 18 inches of vert, and the results down in the minor leagues are pretty solid for him too. In 2024, between three different levels, he had a 3.58 ERA, 73 innings, and yeah, I think we'll see him probably in Double A if I had to guess. He spent most of his time at High A, 56 innings for them in the Mets organization. So I think Ramirez, aside from Odin Mosqueda, I think he's probably got the second highest shot of being a major leaguer down the road. But those are three guys, and then the lone position player that they added to their organization, Miguel Agueto from Boston. I think he's really going to be he's going to be depth for corner outfield depth in their minor league in their minor leagues. I think he's still someone that's got promise offensively. He's still just 22 years old. I think he's shown some power every now and then, to his pull side, which is probably the thing that the Cardinals are going to try to get more out of. But this is someone that's, like I said, corner outfield guy. The offense needs to be better for the profile to hit, but he's still only 22 years old. I'm sure this is someone that Chaim Bloom knows about, obviously coming from Boston, and he's been in the organization for a while now. So I think we'll see. There's a lot of developing left for a guy like Agueto, but I think at the very least he's going to provide some depth in the minor leagues for their outfield.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like some exciting names entering the organization. Obviously, nothing that's going to knock your socks off. These are all guys acquired in the minor league section. So, like Kareem said, we may not see any of them. And it sounds like if we do, it's probably going to be Mosqueda. But very exciting. It's always good to see the Cardinals going out there looking for intriguing pieces, because sometimes these lottery tickets do blow up and you get a guy like a Fernandez, although, again, acquired in the major league section. Let's talk about Connor Thomas, though. This is the biggest news out of the Rule 5 draft for the Cardinals. Well, maybe not the biggest. Maybe the biggest is no one else being selected. But losing Connor Thomas probably matters to the team at least a little bit. I know he's an option, a depth option that the Cardinals probably thought would get a few innings at least this year. They've obviously given him plenty of opportunities to earn a spot in the past. But he's no longer in the organization after a lot of time with the organization and is now a Brewer. So let's talk about what that means.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a major loss for the Cardinals organization. I don't think Thomas is someone that, looking back at a few years, we're gonna be like, oh, how did we let this guy go? But he is going to the Brewers.
Either though,
we'll see. I think the stuff is there for him to be I'm not sure, like exactly. I think more of a fringe leverage, not super high leverage, someone that might be, pitching middle level innings, whether it be, fifth, sixth inning, cleaning up. I don't think this is really a high leverage arm that the Brewers are getting.
He's not going to close games or anything.
No, I think, the way that he was used in AAA this past year with the Cardinals was probably the best fit that he is long-term as a multi-inning reliever. I thought his stuff played much better out of the bullpen. The velocity was up a little bit. It's still low 90s on, his fastball. But we'll see. I think I think Connor Thomas has the ability to manage contact at least decently well, considering he's got, three different fastballs, his sinker, cutter, four-seamer. They're all, unique, different shapes that he likes to manipulate. I think his slider is a solid pitch. He gets a solid amount of spin, a decent amount of sweep on that pitch as well. So we'll see. I think he's, going to be depth. I don't think Connor Thomas is much, higher of a player than someone like Odinir Mosqueda that they got in the, AAA portion that's going to provide, similar depth in AAA. If you need him, you can call him up. I'm not, losing my horses over this one.
Yeah.
I think Connor Thomas, he is what he is. I don't see the Brewers, suddenly adding, 3 miles an hour on his, fastball or anything like that. But the fact that the Brewers took him definitely gives more intrigue to the situation, because I think they know what they're doing as far as pitchers go. But I think, Connor Thomas, he's going to have to manage contact. I don't think, the strikeout numbers are going to be there for him at the next level. But he doesn't walk too many hitters. So we'll see. I think would it shock me if he had like a 4.5 ERA and he's stuck on the, Brewers bullpen for the whole season? No. But I mean, how exciting is that really?
Not at all. Yeah. Again, it's not a Ryan Fernandez. Like, this guy doesn't have a ton of upside. Fernandez at some point in time became one of the Cardinals' like top leverage arms. There were actual tools that you could get really excited about with him. I agree with you for Connor Thomas. And this is a guy that Cardinals fans should know the team gave a ton of opportunities to. I believe he pitched in an Arizona Fall League, season, if I'm correct there. Feel free to tell me I'm not, but I remember that wasn't particularly exciting. They've wanted him to be one of the guys that, like, he's been a AAA depth starter forever. So honestly, good for him. This means he's going to get major league innings. Happy for him to have that opportunity. But you're totally right. Best case scenario, in my opinion, for the Brewers, this is not exciting. He fills out the roster. He's a valuable guy because he can make a spot start for you. He'll be like stretched out enough as a multi-inning reliever, probably, that if you needed him to do like Jake Woodford duties or something, like, yeah, he'd get up there and do it. And it'd probably be better than it was with Woodford. So like, that's probably a plus. But that's about it. This is kind of a nothing burger. The Rule 5 draft tends to be that way. Sometimes we get excited about it, and sometimes you do find great players in it. But sometimes it's not all that exciting. But yeah, I mean, that's what we've got for you guys today. A fun episode, some good stuff to talk about here. The most exciting thing is the draft positioning. The Cardinals lucked out in the lottery this year. I mean, it was crazy. Drafting in the top 5 when you had a winning season. That's some Cincinnati Reds magic from last year. So it's nice to see the Cardinals get that. And the Reds selected Burns, right? Yeah, like the Reds had a winning season and were able to bring in a player of that caliber, Chase Burns, right? Like that's crazy for them to get that. So for the Cardinals to get it this year, very, very exciting, very fun. They didn't get as lucky as the Mariners, though. I saw the Mariners had a top 3 pick somehow, won about as many games as the Cardinals. Regardless, thank goodness, because we needed it. So very excited about that. We'll be here with draft coverage all the way up until the draft and after. We'll be talking about whoever they pick. But yeah, as the rest of the offseason goes on, make sure to tune back in. We'll be releasing an episode probably about every 2 weeks. We're going to try to really stick to that. And we'll let you guys know if anything exciting happens. If there's a big trade that goes down, prospects changing hands, Kareem's here. You can check him out on Twitter or on Birds on the Farm, preferably, and you can see what he's got. But I think that's all. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys.